Hans strives for long-term sustainable neighborhood change through high-impact real estate development. Hans seeks to clear title and redevelop pivotal properties that are eroding the quality of neighborhood life. In Orange, Hans has led a comprehensive planning process for 2 neighborhoods and is creating an art district in a former industrial area called The Valley, which is where we are. Mr. Morrissy is a founder of Shelterforce magazine at the National Housing Institute. He is the chair of the National Community Stabilization Committee for NeighborWorks America and was a member of the New Jersey State Planning Commission. Please join me in welcoming Pat Morrissy.
So right now, this building houses the Luna Stage Repertory Theater, right? They have a 16, 17-year history. They happened to lose their home and thought that they would probably have to disband. And we brought them here and we built out 2 black box theaters for them. And what they're doing, besides putting on really, edgy and provocative plays, is that they're nurturing playwrights. They're drawing culture up from within the community. So for example, they brought together a group of Haitian youth who are here, who are American now, but were born in Haiti, after the earthquake, and brought them together and they began writing and performing. So besides putting on great plays and attracting people to our arts district, they've reached into our community and are creating a local culture that's here but doesn't have expression. So then you think about the rest of the building. We have the West Orange Police Substation, right? It brought a great sense of public safety to the neighborhood, as well as upstairs, which you wouldn't notice, are 3 artists' work studios. Any given month, that project is my favorite project, but I guess my favorite project is Hat City Kitchen, and maybe we'll all be there tonight. So Hat City Kitchen was a nice old restaurant, and down back at the turn of the 20th century, it was a tavern and restaurant, and it fell upon hard times and it closed down, and it was kind of an eyesore right in the center of the Valley community. Well, we bought it, we bought the liquor license, and began renovating the building, decided we would own the restaurant business as well, set up a separate corporation to do that. And so now it's a home for musicians, live music 4 nights a week, great food, Cajun, Creole, and soul cuisine, affordable prices, and as well as a neighborhood tavern. And so it kind of speaks to all of the things that Hans is about. And, in fact, maybe what it expresses more than anything is all my personal desires is, good food, hanging out with my friends, playing music in the community. First of all, I was affected by the times, the civil rights movement. President Kennedy had come and then was assassinated when I was a freshman, and the war on poverty had begun. Michael Harrington's book, The Other America, had a big effect on me. Kind of explained things that I had seen but hadn't understood or had ignored, thinking that all America was either middle class or wealthy, and that people who weren't doing so well, it's probably their own fault. But The Other America really opened my eyes, and then at that point I just couldn't wait to get out of school, and because there was this kind of movement that was carrying us forward. I wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So I met Ron Atlas, and Ron Atlas was really kind of the leader of a group of us who were really passionate about social change and wanted to work together and make shit happen. We were passionate, to say the least. And so Ronnie and I met when I worked for the Neighborhood Youth Corps program. He was a legal services lawyer, worked upstairs from where I was. But he and his brother John, who's here tonight, attracted me to Orange. And they said, listen, you're gonna love this. You gotta come to Orange. There's this group of people, they meet every Sunday morning, and they talk about politics and what political campaigns they're gonna organize. So what issues they're gonna get organized around, how they're gonna mobilize people, and it's also a whole social group. Everybody's friends, everybody hangs out, everybody parties together, but we're also, raising hell together. And I thought, well, that sounds like the place for me. And I came and became part of PACT. That was their organization, the Political Action Coordinating Team of the Oranges. That was it. I was hooked. So we had this group called PACT, talking about a whole variety of issues that affected the community and things that we thought we wanted to be involved in. We also had another group called the Thursday Night Group, which met on Thursday nights. Talked about community, nonviolence, and resistance. But John Atlas was always saying, listen, if we're going to be involved in politics, we're going to be talking about bread and butter issues. That's the only thing that really matters to people. So if we talk about bread and butter issues, what would those be? Of course, this is the thing about John, he knows the answer to the question that he's asking. So the answer is, everybody knows the answer, housing, right? And he got us focused on organizing tenant organizations. So tenant organizations in apartment buildings where, slumlords might own the building and weren't taking care of it and people were suffering. They got, outrageous rent increases. If they tried to organize a tenant association, they got evicted. And so John led the campaign to create the Orange Tenants Association. So a citywide tenant group to bring tenants together. Phyllis Salo-Kay, who's here today, was part of PACT. She started the East Orange Tenants Association. Same thing. And we would all go out to, Phyllis used to go to 2 buildings a night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of every week, to help organize the tenants and bring them, so get them some power within their apartment building, but bring them into the East Orange Tenants Association. Through the citywide tenant organization, we fought for rent leveling laws, which in other parts of the country, were just totally unheard of. But we had managed to get some traction in New Jersey and create these laws that limited the rent increases that landlords could charge. And that's what motivated the creation of these citywide tenant organizations. And I should say that we really believed that if you're going to make systemic change, obviously you need people and you need organization. The only way for people to act in concert was through organization. So that was the creation of those citywide tenant organizations and later some other organizations, including HANDS. Way before HANDS, we were organizing these tenant associations, and there was a point in time where the New Jersey Tenants Organization had kind of lost its spirit and its fire and was a little too cozy, at least we thought. And what it needed to do was really step up the fight for tenants' rights. So we organized a challenge to the leadership of New Jersey Tenant Organization. Phyllis Salo-Kay was our candidate to become the president of New Jersey Tenants Organization. We had a big slate of people from all around the state. We descended on the statewide convention and we won that election. And from there really changed the landscape for tenants in this state. Out of that grew alliances with other organizations, so with labor unions, with women's rights groups, with senior citizen organizations, with church organizations, and with community organizations. And it became apparent that what we really needed was not to speak with separate single issue voices. And this is John Atlas really, John's the architect of this move for us. you know, as much as he took PACT and said, you got to get involved in housing, he then got all of us thinking, what we got to get involved in is we got to coalesce with other single issue organizations and become a force that works together on a whole variety, a whole progressive agenda that meets a variety of people's needs. And that became, there was New Jersey PIPAC. So for anybody who's into acronyms and wants one that almost nobody knows, that's the Public Interest Political Action Committee. But that quickly grew into New Jersey Citizen Action, which is today the state's most powerful coalition around progressive issues in the state. For me, it's always connecting with people. And sometimes you're connecting with, you know, your close friends, John and Phyllis and others, and who are part of an organization, who share the excitement and the ups and downs and the passion for the work, and they sort of propel you because, listen, we're not the majority voice, but we're trying to be. So the thing that always sustains me is relationships with people that I discover, and it still happens. It happens every day to me, not every day, but every week, that I discover somebody who, you know, wants the same things that we're talking about, and, you know, we make sort of common bond, and we begin working together. And to me, that's, you know, because there's plenty of disappointments and heartache, but that keeps me going.
Yeah.
I ran in the Democratic primary for the state legislature, for the General Assembly in 1985. District was East Orange, Orange, West Orange, and South Orange. Ran in the Democratic primary because whoever won the Democratic primary was going to win the fall election. Well, I didn't win. I got 3,510 votes, but I had brought together a lot of people, not just the people we already knew, but a lot of people that we didn't know. And I spoke in churches and, you know, and lots of community groups and other forums. And so I brought people together after that and said, what should we do next? Some people said, well, 2 years, you know, we're going to get you elected and we're going to still do this. And I said, well, what do we do in the meantime? And so the discussion evolved to really, what do we do about neighborhoods that are cycling down? And nobody seems to be in charge of doing anything about that. And so this is 1985, going into 86. Ronald Reagan's the president. The federal government's getting out of the business of housing and community development in neighborhoods. And we decided, this group of clergy and community leaders, well, I guess we're it. I guess we're going to be responsible for these neighborhoods. So then that gets us into, so, okay, great. What are we going to do? Well, this one story tells that evolution for me. So by this time it's 1994. So Hands has done a whole bunch of things. We've created community festivals to boost community pride and get people feeling better about the neighborhood. We've organized neighborhood associations. We've rehabilitated some housing. We even started a panelized housing factory to create jobs. But nothing was really, we weren't changing the community, and that much was clear. But we were at a meeting in the East Ward of Orange, and I was meeting with a group of community leaders who were part of the East Ward Core Council of the Neighborhood Preservation Program. And I showed them some beautiful renderings of new houses. And I was really excited about this, right? And so I had these beautiful renderings of the houses, and everyone's listening patiently, but there's no spark happening. And I'm done. Mrs. Naomi Rock, she's the president of the Elm Street Block Association, says, you know, Mr. Morrissey, those new houses, those are all well and good. I'm going, yeah, they're freaking great. I mean, you know, nobody's built a new house in this neighborhood in 40 years.